And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Batman, and this is my review for. Okay, so I'm aware that this film has been out for a couple of weeks, at least digitally, but here in the UK and a few other places around the world, the physical copy of this is not coming out until the 15th. And so I'm doing a review, and of course I'm going to talk about the film, but I'm also talking about the Blu-ray itself. I actually don't know who sent this to me, so whoever that was, thank you very much. So let's get into it. Set in the midst of the swinging 1970s, it'll take the combined efforts of Batman and world-renowned martial artists Richard Dragon, Ben Turner and Lady Shiva to battle the monsters of this world and beyond. So going into this animation, you may be thinking, oh, the last one, this one, wasn't that well received, and there's been a couple that I haven't really enjoyed. Why should I be invested? Stay. Why should I be invested in this one? Well, I have to say, this is probably just shot right up into my top 5 animated Batman feature films. And that's because I so enjoyed this because of the way this world was realized. The way the producers, the way that the voice actors were chosen, the way that the direct designer, the historian, they've all really taken their time to make the world around our characters in this animated feature film feel like a tangible real world. So everything that they've put into it, they've taken it from the 1970s. They've taken the score, which will just place you in the zone immediately throughout it. It's not in your face, but that it does carry the film sometimes because it needs that. So you have a score that places you in the zone. You have the costume design that just, harks to the 1970s. Then you have the voice acting here, which is phenomenal. The only one, surprisingly, that had a little bit of issue with was actually Batman. When he's playing Batman, when he's Bruce Wayne, I thought he was fantastic. When he's playing Batman, I wanted a little bit more gruffness, but maybe that's because I'm used to him being so dark and moody and gruff, like in the Christopher Nolan series or the other Batman films. Here it just felt like he needed a bit more weight to his character. Not that his actual physical characteristics doesn't have enough weight, but the design they centered on was very sleek and slender. So they went through multiple designs, all of which fitted in to this animation, into the story, but they really wanted to go for something that did more than fit in. There was a character on itself, and so they settled on this more sleek design, more I keep doing that with my hands because when you see the design, you see how slender it is, and that's more slender than we're used to. And so what we have is a mixture of Eastern philosophy, Eastern martial arts meeting modern world America, and then we see them travel and how we have these two worlds through flashbacks. So we have Bruce Wayne who comes to the mountain and he starts learning tutelage under O-Sensei, and you'll recognize the voice immediately. It's another thing why the voice talent in this is so fantastic. You'll recognize obviously some of the main cast, but then when you recognize it, you'll be like, if you're like me and you love films from the 80s, you'll be like, oh, Big Trouble in Little China. It's that sort of idea of the voice casting that places you in the zone. And then you immediately love the characters. So you're invested from the beginning. And the way they do flashbacks is not just quick little 30-second scenes and then jump back into the main story. They do big, epic moments that are like 5-10 minute sequences that really gives you time to undress and get to know the characters. And what I mean by undress is they're unpacking those characters. You're getting to know them a little bit more. Each of the characters don't get a huge amount of time, but you see them interact with each other. So by the time we find them in their modern storyline, you are understanding where they're coming from, what they've gone through, and the storyline itself has a real, finality to it. It has a nice circular moment. Everything comes full circle, which I really liked. I like those type of stories, and it just feels like they've really thought out what they were going to do. And this is not like it's a story that existed before. These characters somewhat without Batman existed in comic book lore, but they had to put Batman in there, and that they went through a couple of drafts where I know that the editors, once they got to the editing room, and the Warner said, this doesn't really feel like a Batman film yet. And so eventually they found a place, a tone where it's telling the story a lot of Bruce Wayne, But when we get Batman, it's there for a reason, not just thrust in, not just pushed in, and so he fits really well. And so you'll feel that as well when you're watching it. One of the biggest positives of this film, which is why I absolutely wanted to talk about this, and I'm realizing loads of people have done reviews, is that this took me back to when I was watching Saturday morning cartoons, and I was watching the original Batman animated series, which I felt like was a little bit darker. And it was like, if you're in your young teens, you know your parents don't allow you to watch certain age restricted stuff, and that Batman cartoon series always kind of gave kids a, hey, this is a little bit racy, this could easily be adult content, but because it's animation, we're going to skirt around the edges and really kind of give the kids a sense of excitement. As a teen, you kind of know that some of the themes they're touching isn't quite right, and so it took me back into that. It's not as dark as some of those episodes. It definitely has its dark moments. The action looks fantastic, it looks visually stunning, you get to see the action sequences, you get to see the martial artists, which I exactly wanted. There's a mixture here that is so fun between Batman's gadgets and ninjas and magic, which sometimes doesn't quite work in this world, but it definitely did in this because of where the time zone is centered, because it's martial arts, which in that time zone did have a feel of magic to it that's like in the 1970s. So it all feels authentic and right for the time. So they got everything right, from music, costume, pace, design, which is why it's one of my favorite of all time. And then going back to the Blu-ray itself has a cornucopia of kind of sneak peeks at other animated features that they've done. Also one that's coming soon, which is great. And then there's a fantastic half-an-hour doc about the making of it. It's not really the making of the actual animation sequence, but how this film came into existence and the time set around it. And I really found it interesting. It wasn't just like they'd thrown it together, they took their time. So it feels like a physical copy, which I always like, is definitely worth it. So 2 thumbs up for that. And then the stuff that they have on it. It's not completely full, but there's definitely stuff in there that makes you want to have the physical copy. Between the sneak peeks and that kind of making of, I think it's fantastic. The surround sound is great as well. You know, it's DTS 5.1. There's no Dolby on this, but I'm not sure that it's needed. 5.1 is fine. Color saturation is perfect and definitely sets the tone as well. And the voice acting is phenomenal. I'm giving this a straight up A+. I definitely would urge you to put it on your buy list if you haven't got it yet. If you're a collector, you probably have it already, or if you're umming and ahhing because you weren't sure on the last 2, put it on your list. Loved it. So signing out from the Batman, or Ruben. Thanks so much for watching this. Let me know, what is your favorite animated Batman film? I would have to go with something like Mask of the Phantasm. I love that. Or the Killing Joke. Love that as well. Gaslight. This is definitely in my top 5. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and your favorite Batman animated feature. But until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.